Hi guys, it's Carolyn with Carolina Crafting. We're going to be making a really cool card tonight, so let me know when you've jumped on. When I have a few people, we'll get started. Hope everyone's had a really good day today. When you hop on, if you'll say hello so I know you're there. Oh, I see Carol's with me. Thank you, Carol, for joining. Trying to get my computer up so I can kind of hopefully see the comments a little better. Hello, Ann. I see Ann's joined me now. If you'll just say hello when you hop on so I know you're there. Has everyone had a good day? Hi, Christine. Thank you for joining. I may wait just another minute. And see if anyone else hops on. So we're going to be making a spinner card tonight. In last week's live, I showed you this card, the Celebrate card, and I thought it'd be a fun card to show you how to make tonight, except we're going to make it with the Winnie the Pooh suite, or the Silly Old Bear suite. So I'm excited to show you how to make this. How's everybody doing tonight? Thank you, Christine. Just wait till I open them. They're going to have a little movement to them. These are neat cards to make. We'll give it just another minute and then we'll get started. While I'm waiting just another minute, I just wanted to mention most Thursdays I'll be going live at 7. Tonight I had something after work, so I couldn't do my live until 8 o'clock. So we're a little bit late tonight, but we should be back on track next Thursday for a live at 7 o'clock. Oh, Christine's cat Lizzie's joined. Hello, Lizzie. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So, like I said, Last week I showed you this card, and when you open it, you'll see that front piece spins, and then you've got another little inside piece where you can stamp and write yourself a note. And so tonight I wanted to do a Winnie the Pooh one. So when you open it, you'll see that front spins, and it's got Pooh on one side, Piglet on the other. And then on the inside, you see Pooh and Piglet. Looks like they're walking there together, and it says, "Old friends are the best friends." And then when you open it up, it says, "The best kind of days are the days spent together." So this is the card I'm going to demonstrate tonight. And I want to show you the pieces that you'll need. We use the Silly Old Bear Suite, which is, it actually, when you get the whole suite, you're getting 2 stamp sets, and these 2 stamp sets with a couple of frames you can stamp and your words and phrases. And then you're getting Winnie the Pooh and his friends and some more stamps here. And you're getting the die cuts that go with Winnie the Pooh and his friends, so you can die cut all of those. And then this is a really neat set with frames. This was one you can use even without the Winnie the Pooh suite, because it's got so many cool frames. And it also cut these 2 frames out. In addition to these, I just used one more stamp from the Delicate Whispers. Since this was a friendship card, I wanted to use that Hello Friend on the front to make my little sign. So let me show you all the pieces of cardstock used to make this card and the measurements, if you want to jot those down. So you'll first start out with just a regular A2 card base, which is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then you will need another piece that's the same color of your card base, and it is 5.5 by 4 1/4, and it matches up exactly with the front of your card. For your inside piece, you'll need a piece of basic white cardstock, and this piece is 10.5 inches by 4 inches, and it's scored in the middle at 4 1/4. You'll need a piece of Designer Series paper, and your Designer Series paper is 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches. And then for my spinner piece, I cut out 2 of those little frames from one of the dies in the set. This one right here, you'll need two little pieces of that. And then the rest of it, you'll just need some scrap pieces. You'll need a little scrap piece of crumb cake to cut your I can't think of what you call it, but for your sign there, that little wooden piece. And then just some scrap pieces like for your Hello Friend, and then this inside, Old Friends are the best friends. Those are just 1/2 inch scrap pieces there. And then I used Early Espresso to mat that one. Okay, so first let's do our stamping and coloring. So let me take these pieces right here, my white pieces, and let me move these aside. And I'll be using the new Basic Black Hybrid ink tonight to do my stamping. And let me bring in just a piece of scrap paper here. And I'm using a ton of the stamps in this set, which this has been a really fun set to play with. So first I just want to stamp my Winnie the Pooh and Piglet on these. So I got Pooh Bear on one. And then I've got a ton of stamps here on blocks. I've got to find my Piglet. Here he is. Trying to just find the middle here. Okay. And then let me go ahead and stamp the inside. Go ahead. Oops, I scored that wrong. Let me fix it really quick. Well, I guess I can't really fix it. It'll show that mark. Let me... Got a backup here. I did it right. There we go. Let me just get my bone folder so I can get a nice crease there. Hey Shirley, thank you for joining us. Then on the inside here, I'm going to use this one. The best kind of days are the days spent together. Okay. And then I need my little scrap pieces I was mentioning to stamp my other little phrases on. So this one is old friends are the best friends. And I went ahead and cut this one just right, so make sure I get it lined up just right. Okay. And then the hello friend. I've got just a scrap here, and I'll trim it down once we get ready to use it. I don't like how I stamped that. Let me do it again. That's better. Okay. And I've got one more. The Winnie the Pooh and Piglet together that I need to stamp on just a scrap piece of paper. Let me get a scrap out from my stash here. That is so plentiful. Do y'all have a lot of scraps like I do? Hi Susan, thank you for joining us tonight. Alright, that's all the stamping we're going to do with black. Now we need to go in and color our Winnie the Poohs and our piglets. So for that, I'm using for Winnie the Pooh the new Golden Glow, which is one of the new in colors, and these are the Stampin' Blends. And for Piglet, I'm using the new Stamping Blends for that for Barely Blush. And then for Piglet's body, I'm using Flirty Flamingo. So I'm going to get these colored in, hopefully quickly for you. I'm going to start with Piglet over here. Were any of you big Winnie the Pooh fans when you were kids? Was Winnie the Pooh one of your favorites? Or maybe you liked one of the friends the best. I never had a lot of Winnie the Pooh stuff, but I like Winnie the Pooh. I think this stamp set is so fun and adorable. Oh, thank you, Anne. My scrap card Saturday. I missed putting one out this week, but I definitely have one planned for this coming Saturday. Scraps are plentiful here in my craft room, and I hate wasting paper. It's the Stampin' Up! Paper is so pretty. Oh, and this is actually one of our new in colors too. This is Peaceful Pine, which is a pretty green, which I'm just going to color that stem with. And I'll move on to Winnie the Pooh here. And again, this is the new in color Golden Glow. Oops, that's the dark one. I meant to start with the light one. That's okay. We'll carry on. I thought that looked a little dark. Also, on the Designer Series paper that comes in this suite, a lot of your images of Winnie the Pooh and his friends on there are similar, are just like the stamps here. So your dies will actually cut out a lot of the images of him and his friends on the Designer Series paper too, which I always like that. Okay, now we'll move on to this Winnie the Pooh. Get him colored quickly. And Piglet. Oh, Anne says Tigger. Tigger was her favorite. I kind of liked Eeyore. Not that I had that gloomy attitude or anything, but I don't know. He was just always funny to me. So Carol, she was asking, do I always start with the light? I usually do start with the light blends color first. And then I go back in with the dark and hit like some of these little highlights here where it's like shading. I hit it with the dark. And then maybe some other areas too that I think might need some shading or might, might be dark. I would think would be darker. And then I go back with the light color again and just kind of blends in those dark colors. Makes it more seamless, if that makes any sense. Alright, and then I just got Piglet to go. So this one's my light one. And on small areas like this, Piglet's really small. You can't tell a whole lot of difference. Or I can't tell a whole lot of difference when I do too much shading here. I'll try a little bit on him, but he's just so small. Now let's just finish his body in Flirty Flamingo. I'm sorry if I'm missing anyone. I'm trying to kind of watch and color too. Okay, now we've got all of the stamping and the coloring done. So let me set these aside and we'll start working on our card base. I can move this too now. So you can go ahead and fold your card base. And then the front piece you want to put on here and put them together and decide on your shape that you want to cut out for your card, which I'm using this frame from the dies. Once you kind of know where you're going to put it, I turn over on the back and put a little stamping seal in the area that I know is going to be cut out so that they stick together. I just put just a little piece there. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick them up and kind of stack them together to make sure I get it even. And then it'll just stay in place while you run it through your Stampin' Cut Emboss machine. So I want to place mine. Let me show you the other card. I placed it kind of towards the top so that I'd have room to add my little sign down here. And I use some low-tack tape to hold it in place while I run it through my Big Shot. Listen at me. Stamp Cut and Emboss machine. I had a Big Shot. That's how I started out. Let's see. I think that's okay. So let me just move it over a little bit. Okay. Now let me get my machine out. We'll just cut right through that. Now I'm going to run mine through twice. Since I'm cutting through 2 pieces of cardstock, I just want to make sure it gets all the way through both. So I'm going to roll it through this way and then roll it back through. It might get it on one pass. I just usually do 2 to make sure. Yep, that did perfect. Okay, so now you've got your front cutout done. Let me put this away. So on the front of mine, I didn't want to have all that blank space. So I used this is the Golden Glow cardstock. So I used the same color ink and just randomly stamped his friends and the little jar of honey there. So let me bring in my piece of scrap paper again, and we'll put all of his friends on this piece. And then these are the new magnetic pads. I love these. And I really like the new ink formula too. So let's see. Let's start off with Kanga, I believe, is who this one is. And I'm just randomly putting them on here. No rhyme or reason. Okay. Here's Tigger. And Eeyore. And here's Rabbit. Let's see. Let me put Rabbit here. And then I have, was it Owl? Did Owl have a name? I don't remember. We'll put him at the bottom. And then to fill in a little more of that blank space, I'm going to use the honey pot and just randomly stamp it around here. Doesn't have to be really thick or filled in, you know. And I always want to make sure I stamp off the edges some too. I think that's good. Did Owl have a name, or was it just Owl? Does anybody remember? Okay, so we'll build the front of the card now. So what I did for this, we'll need our two die cut pieces of Winnie the Pooh and Piglet back. And we'll work with the card base. And I just used some of the baker's twine, some of the white baker's twine to put it on. You could probably use linen thread, or if you wanted to use invisible thread, you could do that, or like fishing line. That fishing line might work. And what I did is I wanted to make sure my well, let me put these on first. But I wanted to make sure the thread is secure, so I'm going to use tear and tape to secure it to the card. But I think it's easier first to get your thread on your images, and what you'll do, you're just going to match them up and run your thread right down the middle. So I'm using Stamp and Seal on these just to put them together and get the thread on. Let me go ahead and put the Stamp and Seal on the back of Winnie the Pooh. Okay. Like I said, you're just going to run this right down through the middle. And I like this die cut particularly because you can tell exactly what the middle is. In a circle, or you know, some other shapes you use, it might not be that easy to tell, but this one's super easy. And then I'm just lining up this one right on top, making sure that's still in the middle. Okay, and you got your spinner part made. All right, now for the card base. I'm going to use a little tear and tape right here at the top where I'm going to attach the thread, and right here at the bottom. So just a little piece here. A little piece down here. You definitely want to make sure you use something other than glue, because it needs to stick down as soon as you put it down so you can get the rest of the card made. I hope I'm not missing anyone's questions. I'm trying to watch too. Hi Marietta, thank you for joining us. All right, so we're just going to put this right here in the middle, center it in our card. Once you feel like you've got the center, you're just going to stretch your thread out and catch that tear and tape that you've put at the top and bottom there. And it's going to be stuck down to that. Once you do that, you can cut off the extra thread you have. Just like that. And then you can glue your top down. Now for this one, for this top piece, I do like to use liquid glue, just so I can shimmy it into place and line it up perfectly. I have a little trouble getting things lined up usually on the first try. So with this, you can, with liquid glue, you have room to move it around a little before it sets. And I'm actually going to go right over my little glue pieces around it too, just to add a little extra security there. And I'll just move it around till I got everything nice and lined up. Cute. Okay, now we can work on the inside of our card. So before we do that, we need to die cut our Winnie the Pooh and Piglet here. And of course, there's a die for that. So I'm going to get that lined up and use my low tack tape again to make sure it stays in place while I'm cutting it. I think that looks good. And let me get my stamp cut and emboss machine again. Is everybody enjoying the card so far? I think that's just the sweetest little die with Winnie and Piglet there. The sweetest little stamp showing friends. Alright, so I'm going to bring my other pieces back in. This is the inside piece that we had stamped before. So what we can do is go ahead and glue our Designer Series paper onto it. You're just going to center it. And there's the back of it. Isn't that cute? I really love this paper too. Christine asked a question. When you, my phone holder is covering a lot of the comments right now, but I think she's asking, when you stamp an image, I'm not sure, I can't see all of it. I'm sorry, Christine. I think you're asking about if it smudges or not. I'm still playing with this new black ink, and it does, to me, it seems like it takes a little bit longer to dry than the Memento ink we had. So I do try to be careful and not touch it for a few minutes and let it dry also before I start coloring with my Stampin' Blends. So I'm going to then put my inside piece, glue it here. And again, you're just going to center this right here on this inside panel of your card. And then inside here, you're going to glue your Old Friends Are the Best Friends on a little mat of Early Espresso, and you're going to put your Pooh and Piglet here in the corner. But you want to make sure you can't see them when you shut your card. So you might kind of want to play with placement, but as long as I get it down in that bottom corner, it seems to be hidden well. You might want to wait till you press it down good, because remember, with your liquid glue you have some wiggle room. Yeah, it's hidden well. So I can go ahead and press it down into place. And I'll glue my old friends are the best friends on my mat there. Then we'll glue it down. And that will go here at the bottom as well, so that it's hidden. Then all we need to do is fix the sign on the front of the card that we made. So I already die cut the little wooden piece for this the sign, and I stamped my hello friend. Now you can either cut this with scissors, which is what I think I'll do, or you can cut it with your trimmer. I'm just going to snip them off. And then there is a longer die, so you can have a longer piece, which I kind of wish I'd cut first, because I need most of this piece here for the sign. So what I did with the other one and what I'm going to do with this one is just use a glue dot and put it at the very top there, so it'll hold it, and I won't get so messy with glue trying to get just a little dab there. And that'll hold on to it with just a little piece. Use just a little part of the sign. And then lastly, I put this on Stampin' Dimensionals. And let's see, where to put my scissors. I'm going to cut just a little piece of this to use on this sign. I can't think of what do you call this piece of the sign? I am hitting a total blank tonight. I cut that a little big. There we go. We'll take those pieces off and put him down in the corner. And just be sure it's not in the way of your spinning mechanism. It could probably go up a little bit in there, but just as long as it clears where you spin. And then one last thing we need to do for this card is use some of the in color dots. And since I colored the stem with Peaceful Pine, I thought I'd add Peaceful Pine onto the card, the dots for it. And I'm just randomly placing those. And there's our card. What do you think? Now, one tip I want to show you about spinner cards. When you're going to mail this, before you put it in the envelope, spin this around several times. Then put it in your envelope. That way, when the person who gets it opens it, it'll spin really nicely for them when they first open it. Isn't that cool? Anyways, I really hope you enjoyed this card. Me and a friend of mine, Crystal, were playing around with the balloon festoon suite the other weekend, and that's how we came up with this card. And so I'm like, you know, you could do that with any shape. We did it with the balloons, but you can do that with any shape. And so I thought, let me play with Winnie the Pooh. I've been playing with the Silly Old Bear suite this week and thought I would make a spinner card with it. So there are my cards. Here's the sample one I made before tonight. Does anyone have any questions before we wrap it up? Okay. I hope you enjoyed this, and I really, really appreciate you joining my live tonight. And just remember, this is going to be a weekly thing. Thursday nights, most of the time at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tonight I was a little bit late, but I do appreciate you joining me. Thank you so much for watching.